All right, Chapter 3. Why Delphine? Always the youngest and smallest in her class, Claudette stood tall as one of the best in spelling bees. She won the weekly contest with the help of afternoon trips to the library and a dictionary bought by her parents. Claudette loved school, and after eighth grade ended and the long summer days grew shorter, Claudette looked forward to entering Booker T. Washington High School as a freshman. But just 2 weeks before her first day of high school was set to begin, her sister Delphine awoke by her side with a fever. When Delphine's temperature climbed higher and higher all day, her parents knew that something more had to be done. She was rushed to St. Jude Hospital, where they treated both black and white patients equally. Doctors knew instantly that Delphine had contracted the polio virus that was spreading through homes across the country that summer. Claudette begged to be by Delphine's side, but was kept away to stop the virus from infecting her, too. As Delphine's temperature rose throughout another night, and her arms and legs that once twisted and turned and danced lay still by her sides, Claudette waited and prayed, prayed, and waited. As the morning sun broke the next day, Delphine lost her battle to polio and died on September 5th, 1952, Claudette's 13th birthday. Claudette, the girl once filled with so many questions for God, now only had one. Why Delphine? Claudette began her first day of high school lonely, grieving and missing her sister. Walking past the spot where Delphine had waited for her after school made the days long. Crawling into bed alone in the evenings made the nights longer, but Claudette knew Delphine would have wanted her to keep on keeping on. Even though Booker T. Washington High School was in need of new textbooks and building repairs, the teachers who worked there built a strong foundation for their students with what little they had. In 10th grade, Claudette's history teacher, Miss Lawrence, taught them about African nations and Black history. When slavery and the Underground Railroad was discussed, Claudette dreamed of becoming like Harriet Tubman, who'd escaped slavery and became an abolitionist, fighting to end slavery not just for people like her who had escaped, but for everyone, and hoped, like Harriet, to do something to uplift her people. Claudette's favorite teacher was Miss Geraldine Nesbitt, a Montgomery native who had degrees in English from a college in Alabama and Columbia University in New York City. Miss Nesbitt, who taught English, brought in her own books from home to fill up their nearly empty classroom library. From poetry to Patrick Henry, the Bible to the Constitution, Miss Nesbitt's lessons taught Claudette and her classmates about history, equality, and justice. It was a class where they did as much talking as they did reading, and where Claudette could ask as many questions as she wanted. In 1954, at the end of Claudette's sophomore year, the United States Supreme Court ruled that all schools were to be desegregated and could no longer separate Black and white students. In the historic Brown versus Board of Education case, Brown stood for Oliver Brown, a Black man whose daughter wasn't allowed to go to the school closest to their house because of the color of her skin. Mr. Brown didn't think that was fair, and he brought the case to the Supreme Court. The justices there all agreed with him, and their ruling meant that schools all across America would have to change. Claudette and her classmates tried to imagine a world where they would be sharing a classroom with white students. During Claudette's junior year, Booker T. Washington students spent the entire month of February discussing the injustice and inequality for Black people in Montgomery, and teachers and students studied some of the very same questions Claudette had been asking since she was a little girl. Claudette realized the lessons she was learning were so much more important than spelling bees and math tests. After the loss of Delphine, Claudette began high school feeling she was powerless in fighting for her sister's life, but now she was learning there was plenty of other ways she could fight. And we'll stop there.